Good morning, Market Call. I'm your host, Dave Wood. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about a game-changing innovation. News media and pundits are often searching for the next big thing, whether it be GPS, whether it be tablet computing, or even the Segway. Today, we're going to talk about what may very well be the next big thing. And it was designed and built here in Provo. With me today is Mark Stoddard, Chief Marketing Officer of VMT Technologies, the company behind the world's first positively engaged, infinitely variable transmission. First off, Mark, thanks for being with us today.
A pleasure to be here, and you said that very well.
Thanks. So I wasn't even aware that there was a holy grail of transmissions. I just get in my car and drive. So why is this one so special?
When your car is going or a truck is going, in order to change speeds, you have to disconnect the engine from the load, the gears, and reattach. That takes fuel. Ours does not disconnect the engine from the load, and it gives you infinite gear ratios to choose from, and it allows your engine to work in the sweet spot.
So that sounds kind of like I can have as many gears as I want, and I'd never have to disengage my engine. Is that right?
Exactly. It never disconnects the engine from the load. And that's a real problem if you're going uphill. As you know, loads don't coast, especially uphill.
Right.
This allows it to stay connected, but more importantly, it allows the engine to work in the sweet spot. And that, if you'll notice on your fuel gauge, as soon as you're starting out, it's working really hard and getting terrible gas mileage. Well, this allows your car, any vehicle, any large piece of transportation as well, to be able to begin in the sweet spot of the engine and continue on at that fuel economy rate.
Oh, interesting. So I've seen a number of ads for transmissions that don't require you to shift gears. Now, I know it's not an automatic transmission, but these don't require you to shift gears either. I think they're called CVTs. So why is this one so much better?
Well, the continuously variable transmission is a real breakthrough in many ways. But the problem is it uses a rubber belt in between two plates that are pushed together, and as it pushes together, it's able to change the ratio of where the belt is, but that takes dynamic friction. Friction causes heat, heat causes wear. With ours, there is no rubber belt. We are able to stay gear to gear engaged. And so with a CVT, typically, you don't put that into anything that's going to require a lot of torque, a lot of power. So you put it in a smaller car. Well, otherwise, if you give a lot of torque to this pushing together, it'll be like when a locomotive starts off and the wheel, it spins like crazy.
Right.
That's friction. That's not efficiency. Ours, instead, from zero in neutral, it's engaged and is able to come out of neutral at maximum power. So you can put our transmission into a hybrid, which saves economy as well, and put it into a Ford 150, Ford 350, whatever.
And how big is this transmission approximately? Is it bigger or smaller than the one I have right now?
It's actually probably a little bit smaller and less expensive.
So it's less expensive, it's more efficient, it's smaller, and it drives more power for either a hybrid or an 18-wheeler. Did I get that right?
Yes, not just an 18-wheeler and the typical car you drive, but think about it in a windmill. Think about it in a ship or other maritime uses, trains, almost anything that has an engine.
What about my tank?
Will need it. Well, it's especially, in fact, when we were in Detroit meeting with a group, the fellow actually was the person behind General Dynamics and their movement to the Abrams tank. He looked at this and said, this has to be in a tank.
Huh, wow. Well, that's good news for me and my fellow tank owners.
Oh, well, absolutely, and it's good for your gas mileage as well.
So it sounds like we've named just about every major vehicle out there. What kind of market is there for this kind of transmission?
Well, we're meeting right now, just to let you know, this next week with Ford, Toyota, Chrysler, Eaton. We've met with Allison and Hyundai, and about 35% of the marketplace so far is currently meeting with us on a contract track.
Wow.
And that's very exciting.
Yeah, I imagine that's very exciting. Okay, so, and what's the connection with BYU? You're here in Provo, but you haven't just been in Provo, you've actually been using facilities here on campus, right?
We've had a contract, 2 contracts with BYU and Dr. Todd of the Mechanical Engineering Department He's been absolutely wonderful, but he's taken some of his most gifted mechanical engineering master's degree students, and we've had 4 theses written on this transmission. And the main thing they've done is to be able to define the problems. Now, the inventor is Gary Lee, and Gary Lee was helped out by BYU in being able to identify the problem. Gary says, until you know the problem, you can't arrive at the solution. Well, BYU helped us to determine the problems, and since then we've found the solutions.
Well, it sounds like you guys are on the brink of making a lot of money.
We don't ever really think about that, frankly. If you focus on the money, you'll never make the money. What you've got to focus on is creating a tremendous product that really has universal applications. That's why we call it the universal transmission. And once you have that, as people want it, as you have a good product that people will use, the money will take care of itself.
Of course. All right, so coming to a Ford, Toyota, Chrysler, and all those other companies, in a car near you, we have the universal transmission. It's more efficient, it's cheaper, and it's smaller, and it looks like we'll all be driving one someday, hopefully.
I believe you will.
So, Mark, thank you very much for being with us. This has been Morning Market Call, and look for us on Twitter, Facebook. Here's our website.
Morning Market Call is brought to you by the Marriott School of Management in cooperation with the Brigham Young University Department of Communications. MMC is made possible by generous donations from Larry Tasjan and Gary Williams. This show was produced by Jeff Butler, David Wood, and Doug Mumford, with line producing by Beth Grimmett. For more information, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook.